I've been asked to talk a little bit about the sprint phase of the process. This is when you realize that you have planned way too much, and maybe you have planned way too little, and you really need to figure out what to do. And I will talk a little bit about this, of course. But the most important slide is my first slide, which is this one. If it will do something. Oh no! You already got this. I'm absolutely, definitely sure that you will do a great job. You have been working really hard for quite a while. You have all the right tools and you have all the right ideas. Now you just need to finish it and get it play tested and run it tomorrow and then move on to the next thing. And the next thing can actually be the same thing you're working on now. But the idea of the Larporatory is, of course, not necessarily making the greatest LARP ever made, but just to go through the process of actually finishing something. Because when you finish the first LARP, it's so much easier to finish the next one. From when you go from having done 0 LARPs to have done 1 LARP, that's an absolute major leap. And then it's so much easier to make the next one. It's not that super difficult or dangerous. So we started over here with an idea, and then you came up with all sorts of cool stuff you want to do, and it got wider and wider and wider. And now you should hopefully be over in this end of the thing where you start eliminating all of these ideas that are great, but probably not for this thing, and end up with a LARP. If you're not in this area, you absolutely need to start right now, when I'm finished with this talk, to eliminate ideas. And now is also the time to focus. You have been probably already focused and a little bit tired of being focused, but now it's time to actually focus. It's time to focus on your work. It's time to focus on the idea, the core idea of your thing, why you are doing this specific thing right now, and everything needs to go back to that thing, and then you start either enhancing stuff in your design or eliminating stuff. You need to work, and you need to work really, really hard. This is, for me, when I've done all the creative stuff, and I'm super excited about that, and then you realize that you have not really started because you need to do the actual work. It's like buying a box of Legos and you're really excited about it, and then you open it up and it has 375 steps until you're finished. This is where you're now. You just opened the box of Legos and you really need to do the work. Are you ready to do some work? Yay! And to be able to do the work, you need to get in tune with your crew. You need to be absolutely sure that you are on the same page, that you have harmony. So a good idea is to, when I'm done talking, you'll sit down by yourself and you'll write down in 5 sentences or less what this LARP is about. And then you will compare. And hopefully it's sort of the same. If it's not that, then you need to work on that as the first thing. Does that make sense? This is the second most important slide. When you are working under time pressure and you feel stressed and maybe a little bit panicked and you don't completely agree on the vision of the thing, you will get into arguments and you will want to win every one of them because you're probably passionate about the project you're doing. But there's no room in any group to win all arguments, because then you'll be arguing all the time. So try to really listen to what the other person is saying instead of filtering it through your own opinions all the time. Take a deep breath, close your eyes. If you start an argument, stop, close your eyes, take 5 deep breaths and try again. And then hopefully you'll listen to each other rather than going through that filter of ego and whatever you want. And you'll probably figure it out. Because you don't need to win every fight. You need to win the important ones for you, not all of them. And not all things can be equally important. The thing you need to do when I'm finished talking is to start making lists. And this is list of the job you need to do to make a LARP that's playable. So write all tasks that you need to do to get an overview of how much work you actually have. Because if you don't have an overview of all the work, you'll just start here and there, and then you'll have no idea how much it is, and you will never finish on time. This is my experience. I have done labs without making those lists, and they fail every time, and people argue and scream and cry. So make the lists. Make many lists. Because if you don't make those lists, you will miss the window of opportunity to decide. There's two ways of making decisions. One is that you do it consciously, or other aspects will make the decisions for you. Some of them are of course already made, like you have these rooms, you only have X amount of time for the lab to run, you have these participants and so on. We know that, but there's many decisions that are made because you run out of time. You don't have time to go get that thing, you don't have time to write those 10-page characters and so on. If you miss that window of opportunity, choice will be taken for you, and that is not design. Designing is making those decisions. So make them. But always calibrate amongst yourselves that everybody is on page and they agree that this is the decision we're going to run with. And agreeing is a scale that goes from this is the best idea ever, I'm so super fucking happy right now. And then it goes all the way down to this is not my cup of tea, but I agree that this is what we're going to do. And it's perfectly valid to be on that scale, anywhere on that scale. Yeah. Don't kill darlings, murder them. Killing is not a conscious choice necessarily, murdering is. A great process for this is you write down the darling on a piece of paper and the person who had the idea gets to crumple it up and throw it away. Make it into a little game. You need to murder it and revel in bathing in the blood of your darlings. Or if you cannot get yourself to murder it, maybe you can give the idea up for adoption. So always tell those lab ideas or mechanics ideas or meta techniques or whatever that you have that you think is really good, talk about them to other people because maybe they will make a lab with that idea and then you get to play it. So share those darlings that you find really precious. This is Neil Gaiman. The reason I have Neil Gaiman here is that he told a story where he was doing a TV series called Neverwhere for BBC. And he hadn't written, there's a book called Neverwhere as well, but he hadn't written the book at the time. It started as a TV series. And he got super frustrated in the process because he wrote a new episode. Then he went to the producer. The producer said, we can't do that, that's too expensive to do. We don't have budget for the special effects, or that's a silly idea, we're not going to use that. And he got increasingly frustrated because the producer was killing his darlings all the time, until he realized that whenever the producer killed an idea, he could use it in the book that he was planning on writing in the same universe. So every time after that, the producer said, we can't use that, he said, yes, then I can use it in the book. And of course, then the producer got increasingly frustrated with him, being super happy about stuff they couldn't use for the TV series. But that was a sort of a way out, is to pressure, to have a very strong connection to ideas and adopting them maybe yourself or giving them to others. You need to be brave with your design. Many people talk about imposter syndrome, that they feel, oh, I can't do this and everybody will see through me and I'm a really shitty designer, I've never done anything before. You have no time for imposter syndrome. You need to work, you need to focus, and you need to make lists and make decisions. So be brave. You absolutely got this. Trust the design that you have chosen. It will work. Trust yourself. Maybe you haven't realized, but you guys have taken the most prestigious and best LARP education in the world. Nobody is better at this than you. And I firmly believe that. So it's just about getting to the design, making LARPs, and they will be great, and we will play them, and we will love them, and we will carry you tomorrow and throw flowers at your feet, because you are great. Are you ready for that tomorrow? The third most important slide comes now. This is, of course, Heavisaurus, the Finnish children's metal band. And to give you a little more energy, we need to do the dinosaur heavy metal power pose.